What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about ProText Mobility, ticker TXTM. We have gone down quite a lot. I'm going to break it down for you, why we've gone down as much as we have, where we potentially could be going, and some of the technicals that's happening behind the scenes. Before I get into any of that though, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. And on this channel, I do OTC stocks. If you guys have any favorite stocks that you're kind of interested in, you want a little bit more due diligence or whatever it might be, or my own opinion on it, let me know in the comments below. Just put down whatever stocks you're interested in. I'll review them, and if I find that there's enough to go on, then I'll do a video on it. Easy peasy. So with that though, let's get right to it. So this hands down is a little bit more of a scary chart, and that exactly is the reason why OTC stocks really have a bad name, because typically a lot of people lose a lot of money. People call them pump and dumps, whatever it might be, but I did participate in the recent kind of conference that they were in, and it does seem to me that they are a fairly legitimate company. They by no means just a pump and dump. It does show that they do have a lot of good underlying assets, and I said that leading into the conference as well. I did a couple of videos leading up to that, and one of which was their low cost, which was surprisingly low. Typically, I do cover a lot of cannabis companies in North America, but theirs was substantially lower, and this kind of shows a basic kind of breakdown of how much it costs per seed and just some basic stats. Again, I don't know the validity of this, and also on a side note, I am not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But given the circumstances of what's recently been happening, there is a little bit more chatter about obviously ProText, which is a very positive thing if you ask me. But I just want to show you a couple of different things. I am on Ortex. I like to break it down what's happening behind the scenes just to give you a better picture. Right now, 22.4 thousand shares are on loan. Cost to borrow is 3.54, which is relatively low. Utilization is 1.91. So nothing really abnormal on that front. But when it comes down to the daily volume, it is fairly significant. So even today was roughly about 32% of the overall volume was attributed to shorts. And even in general though, the volume has started to really drop down pretty significantly. And it goes all hand in hand. So today alone was 94 million shares being traded. The average is 133. During our peak when we were really rallying, it was roughly about 600 million. And so this is a very common thing what happens with over-the-counter stocks. It typically goes up with a huge influx of capital, and then you get a lot of shorts. And keep in mind, when there is a typical retail investor and is starting to trend down, then in reality, nobody's really willing to put a lot of money into it. They just see it as going down fundamentally, everything like that. And this is where shorts really take over. And I did do a video recently around here saying that ultimately I felt shorts were done with the stock and that it should be able to get to its fundamental basis and start to trend higher. But that doesn't look like the case. It does look like they were starting to double down. And even on the 12th, there was 61% of the overall volume was shorts. And keep in mind, when there is a short entering into the stock, they add immediately a lot of downward pressure, and that is a very vicious domino effect downwards. I'm just going to quickly pop over to Interactive Brokers. I like to use them. Surprisingly enough, they have a lot of good information for over-the-counter stocks. I'm going to link them in the description below and also the comments. Just click on the link, play around. Honestly, out of any other broker I've ever had, Interactive Brokers has the most detailed information when it comes down to over-the-counter stocks. So I'm very much impressed with that. So briefly, just looking here, going to expand it. You can easily tell where there is some support and resistance points, and we're basically at that right now. If we do break below that, then unfortunately, most likely, we will head around to the 0.00225 mark, and then depending on what happens at that stage, I honestly can't see us getting below that because the whole economy has gone up roughly about 25%, give or take, from its lows roughly about 2 weeks ago. So I don't see it justifiable that we go back to this stage, hands down. And what they said in the conference is that not only are they focusing on cannabis, but they're doing psychedelics as well, which in reality is a little bit more skeptical, but very, very much profitable. So I don't think a lot of people necessarily talk about that aspect when they really should, because they did really talk about the psychedelic aspect, because I think there is a big movement going on there. I did cover also another company that does psychedelics, 𝗪𝗧𝗛, and they technically are going through FDA approval right now. So it does look like the FDA is willing to actually go through the steps for psychedelics. And keep in mind though, ProText is technically in South Africa. So as far as just entering into the North American market, they might not be so much inclined to do that just yet. This is why I think in the conference they did kind of separate ProText from RSA. Obviously I'm abbreviating that, but you guys get what I'm saying. They're still keeping ProText around, I think, just for that North American aspect. My own 2 cents. Like I said, that's just my hunch on things, but the technicals are very much optimistic. It does appear that potentially we are very much close to the bottom. If not, roughly around another 10% drop is more so expected if something does happen, but I feel that you do need a lot more volume to get back in. And on more of a side note, I think also another attributing factor why we've gone down is just the cannabis market. Cannabis market in North America has been completely massacred. There was some good news last week about a bill passing, but as far as the likelihood of that actually going through the Senate is very, very slim. So in the end, I don't think that it will amount to much. So overall though, when you do invest in ProText, I think it's a very good, sustainable company. It's definitely not going to go bankrupt. They made that very clear in the conference. But in the end though, you just have to have a long-term time horizon, because I think the cannabis sector and also psychedelics is a little bit more touchy, and until legalization they're going to be very limited on what they can actually do, how much they can sell, things like that. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. I'm just going to quickly go back over here just to kind of elaborate on the technical aspect and talk on the resistance points. So first, second, and third resistance point, 0.004, 4.5, and 4.7. We did actually break past the first resistance point today, and we did bounce off of the first support point. So that might be a little bit more optimism, again validating that we are at a little bit more of a bottom. But keep in mind, we did go down quite a lot today. Even today, it does appear that we were down roughly, where was it, almost 18%. So that's pretty significant. But one positive thing is that we do have very strong support. So first, second, and third is very tight knit. So 0.0026, 0.0031, and 3.3. So like I said, this most likely is going to be the bottom exactly. So with all that, let me know your thoughts on ProText in the comments below. Don't forget to let me know in the comments if there is another over-the-counter stock that you are very much interested in. I also do have my main channel that I cover with 𝗖𝗧 and Lucid. So if you're very interested in those, take a look in the description below and pop over, subscribe to that channel. I greatly appreciate that. Same with Interactive Brokers. I really am a big fan of them for over-the-counter stocks. But with all that, don't forget to also hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and let's all make a lot of money on ProText.